Welcome back everyone, I'm Andrea and in this one I will show you the full process of modeling this ceiling lamp step by step in Blender while trying to keep it beginner friendly. But if you have questions, please leave them in the comments section below and try to be as detailed as possible so it's also easier for me to help you. It's based on this design, which I think it looks quite cool and modern, and the good part about it is that there is no right or wrong way to do it. You don't have to do exactly the same as I did, and you can create multiple variations and it will still probably look very cool. Now that said, let's get to it. I have the latest version of Blender here, and the first thing that I'm going to do is right click here, join areas, and click there to hide that one. We are going to need an add-on that comes with Blender, but you need to enable it. For that we go to Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, and here we search Extra Objects, and you just enable this, check this. I will probably not need the cube right now, so I will hide it for now and delete this light. Next I'm going to Shift A, Curve, and go here to Curve Spirals. Click there and let's say we want to increase a bit the height. We're going to add maybe 8 turns. We're going to put this to 0.5, and the number of steps, to make it easier to play around with it, I'm going to put it to something less than the default, maybe about 7 should be alright. We're going to add a subdivision modifier, so it will look smoother anyway, but if you play with it, it is going to be much easier with less steps. Now I'm going to rotate this on the x-axis 90 degrees with Rx to constrain and just type 90, and let's give it some thickness. So if we go to this panel here, you have to go to Geometry, and Depth. I'm going to put maybe 6 centimeters. That should work fine. 5 or 6, not too crazy. Let's add another Shift A mesh cylinder, and I'm going to make this 2 meters should be alright, with a radius of 3 centimeters. That should work. Vertices 16 should be enough. I'm going to rotate it on the x-axis 90 degrees, and this now is 2 meters. If I hit N and go to item, we can see the dimensions here, and what we need to do is scale this down so it's about 2 meters. It doesn't necessarily have to be exactly like that. Grab with G, Y to constrain it on the axis, and type 1 to move it 1 meter. Now we are going to need to connect this last part here to the middle of this stick, and first of all let's grab it and move it on the Z axis a bit down, right where it touches slightly the bar. That should be fine. Maybe I went a bit overkill with the number of turns, so maybe we select and delete one of them, scale Y, grab Y, okay, Ctrl A to apply the scale so it doesn't distort the thickness of it. That said, let's see, if you want to grab this and manually bring it there, that could be one way to do it, but I think it's going to be easier if you hit tab while selecting the cylinder with 3 to select face here. 1, 2, 3, select the face. Shift S, cursor to selected. Now what this is going to do is, if I come here and select this one and do Shift S, selection to cursor, it's going to instantly put it there. Now to make it look a bit more realistic, what I'm going to do is take this one and also Shift S, selection to cursor, and without doing anything else, grab Y and move it here. Alright, so it kind of falls down, it goes out of it and it falls down. Now I don't want this to be a completely perfect circle, so what I'm going to do is scale on the x-axis and I'm going to type 0.5. I will see again that it's distorted and we need to apply Ctrl A scale. Now it's back to looking fine. Alright, we are going to do the same for this side. Now, for example, since this is a bit far from that point, you can hit E to extrude, and you can add more of these segments. And let's hit E again, Shift S, selection to cursor, but the cursor is on the other side, so I need to come here, select this one, go to edit mode, select this face, Shift S, cursor to selected. Now Shift S, selection to cursor, and it's going to connect to the other face. Shift S, selection to cursor as well, and grab Y axis and something like this. Alright, do you think maybe it's too many of them? It could be. If you want, obviously you can maybe even delete, let's see, vertices, and it connects somewhere in the middle. Grab on the y-axis. And just play around with it until you are happy with how it looks like. Now, if you don't want them to end basically at the same line, what you could do is grab here, like these four vertices, have this enabled. This is proportional editing with O shortcut, and add smooth, and just grab on the Z axis, and you see that this circle resizes in size with the mouse scroll wheel. So you need to make it relatively big, but not big enough so it doesn't affect the top bar. Because if it affects the top bar, then it's not going to touch that part there, so not good. I'm going to move this a bit here to make it a bit rounder. I'm going to disable. Okay. We could do, maybe you don't want them to be exactly perfect if you look from the side in terms of how wide it is. So you could also scale X and move a bit the mouse here and there to make one of them wider, one narrower, just to make it look interesting, I guess. Okay, maybe I went a bit too much down with it. Alright, this looks good. We have a little problem here. This doesn't look right because this is too much to the left to make it like a continuous curve. Well, make sure you look at it from all the angles. and it should be good to go. Maybe this is a bit too much out. Alright, not sure if I went too thick with it. Maybe 5 would be better. Yeah, let's go with 5 first and we will see. Now you see here the segments are kind of visible, so I'm going to go to the subdivision and increase it to 4, maybe even 5, and put it in the render tab. Use the same number because otherwise it will look at 5 in viewport but not in the render. This I'm going to put shade smooth, and I'm going to select this on the other side and Ctrl B to bevel. So I click, I'm going to put here 5, that should look alright. Segments, 3 segments should be fine. And you see that it also is showing the segments, so I'm going to add a subdivision to it. This value should be fine. Now you don't want to go too crazy because then you just add unnecessary geometry and it's going to take longer to render and all that. So let's also add the cables that go up, and to do that I'm going to select the cylinder, this bar, the cylinder here, go to edit mode, Ctrl R to add loop cuts, and I'm going to add, I think, 5. Now you see that it moves, so I'm going to press escape key, and it's going to stay in place. We don't really need them, all of them. I'm just going to use this as reference to where to put the cable, if that makes sense. So I'm going to add Shift A cylinder with vertices. 8 vertices should be okay because it's going to be really small at 1 meter length and radius of 1 centimeter or even less, maybe 0.75. So it's 1.5 centimeters in diameter. Okay. So let's say we want to place this right here. I'm going to select this vertex here with vertex selection. So 1, 2, 3 again. If you are in this mode, you press 1 to go here. Shift S, cursor to selected, and this is going to, if I do Shift S, selection to cursor, it's going to be placed right in the middle because this little orange dot is the reference point. I don't want to move it to the bottom, so I'm just going to grab on Z axis and move it 0.5 meters up, and it should be fine. I'm going to Alt duplicate this on the y-axis, and let's see where it is, the point here. Shift S, selection to cursor, oh no, Shift S, cursor to selected, selection to cursor, grabs it 0.5 meters. And now we have them at the perfect space. Maybe we need some sort of thing at the top to illustrate the part where it connects to the ceiling. So I'm going to select this, Shift S, cursor to selected, and now if I do Shift S, cylinder, and I put 5 centimeters here and radius of 5 centimeters, it should look like this. Maybe it's too much, too tall. Let's go 2.5 centimeters, should be fine. Let's say I want to do 16 vertices, and I'm going to select this face and scale it maybe 0.75, that should be fine. And to make it smooth and be able to control it, I'm going to go to edit mode, select this face, add here bevel weight to 1, and I'm going to use this to control the bevel in this modifier tab, and in limit method, if I go to weight, it's going to apply to that bevel there, and I'm going to increase the number of segments and the amount to can I put 1 centimeter here? Yeah, to 1 centimeter, maybe 5 segments, maybe 0.5, so half a centimeter. That should be fine. And add a subdivision modifier, and to make it not break that part, you just add a crease to this face here. Again, this panel is end panel. To fix the shading in this top area that looks kind of strange, you need to go to Object Data Properties panel. While selecting this object, go into Normals and check Auto Smooth. And now it will look fine. Now you see that this part, it kind of, you see this line here, and that can be fixed with the profile. Make it a bit smoother and it should be fine. Alright, I'm not going to add a subdivision here because it's really a small object that most likely is not even going to be really visible. So I'm going to skip that and select this one as the face on top, Shift S, cursor to selected, select the top part here, Alt D to duplicate, click on Shift S, selection to cursor. So what this does with Alt is that if I'm, for example, doing this, it's going to apply to both of them. If you Shift D, you will only be able to edit one at a time. And since it's the same object, I guess we want them at the same time. Alright, we should save. So next to this desktop crap, I'm going to put the lamp. Because, you know, Blender sometimes crashes and it's not fun. Alright, so let's move to the shading. For the shading, I'm guessing I will start with the bar here. Let's go to this mode. So the bar, I will put a new material inside this tab here. I'm going to put it, going to make it blue. But you saw the examples, you could make it gold or black or any other option should look fine. I'm going to make it less rough. So I'm going to put this to 2.15 and should be enough. For the cables, I'm going to add a new material. I'm going to put it at gray and make it metallic. Metallic should work fine. And for the top, I'm going to select material 1. So it's the same material as this part here. And that should be fine. Maybe it is a bit too thick, but I guess it's fine for now. For the light, I'm going to add a new material. And the problem is that if you put emission really high and put it to white, okay, it's going to illuminate. And if we go to the preview here and select cycles and GPU, why is it okay? So it is working. It took a while. You see that it kind of, where it crosses one behind the other, you don't really see anything. So if you do just this, I mean, I guess it's a light, it's alright, but it's not as good as it could be. So what I'm going to do is put it at maybe 10 for now. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to Shift D and ESC. So we have a copy of this light, And what I'm going to do is go here to this panel on the copy and make it thinner. So I'm going to make it 3 centimeters, maybe 2.5. Let's say 2.5 centimeters. And I'm going to go select the original one, go to material and create a new one, new. Remove the, let's name is height and remove it from here. So it's only this one. What's happening here? So I had to restart Blender. It stopped working correctly, and now the mouse here is not showing, but hopefully you get the idea. So so what I was trying to explain is we copied the spiral, and I'm going to do the one that's slimmer as the light, and this one I'm going to go to the materials, going to remove here all the materials, create a new one, and use it as light, but put the transmission to 0.95. So what this is going to do, if you go here closer, you see that it kind of fades the light on the outer part of it. So it allows for a bit of distinction when you have a few overlapping tubes of light. If you want, you could play around with the thickness of this. Maybe you want it a bit slimmer. So let's say like this. If you want more gray area on the outer part, I think something in between of what I had. So maybe 0.2 is fine. So you could also play with the outer spiral, with the outer tube. Maybe you want to make it completely transparent and remove the roughness. And now you have like a kind of a plastic thing. And let's do one thing. Since now the background is gray, go to word properties and set the strength to 0. So now it's black, and we only have the lights that we have we added by ourselves. So I think I will keep it at something like 0.9. Should be fine. Just a quick note before rendering, just in case you want to edit, for example, this shape. If you select only this spiral, it's the outer shell, so if you edit it, you will see that the light is still inside. To edit both of them, you select both of them and hit tab, and you are going to be editing both of them at the same time. So just in case. And a couple more things is I noticed a very little gap here when I did that. I pushed it 1 meter up, but it's not enough. So selecting all of those objects, grab Z minus 0.1, minus 0.01. Okay, minus 0.01, 1 centimeter. And now it will be inside that shape. And here at the same time, I also took a look, and you see that it has kind of a little gap. So I'm going to grab Y and just move it a bit so it's inside, just in case, so it doesn't reflect more light than we want. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So grab on the y-axis and move it just a bit in. So now we are not having any kind of gap there. Okay, so for the render, if you remember, we had this default cube from before that I hide. If not, you can just add it again. And I'm going to edit mode with edge select number 2. I'm going to X delete vertices, and now we have this. So select everything, S on y-axis, 8 should be enough. And let's see what the camera sees. Okay, so the camera is up, and I'm going to need to move it down. And instead of just playing around with in object mode, okay, with all the values here, I'm just going to look where I want the camera to be initially, and let's say I want something like this, no, more or less, and I want to move this camera to this position. What I'm going to do is view, align active camera to view, and now the camera is no longer up. Now it's in that position that we had. Okay, the denoise seems a bit off here. Let's see what's happening. So in the render properties sampling, I'm going to activate the denoise in the viewport here. I'm going to put it to 0.1 just so we don't have those crazy shapes. And in the render, it's also activated. I'm going to choose the optics because I have an RTX video card. That, if not, then you will not have the optics here. I think you will not have it. But anyway, it only works with an RTX credit, not credit card, with an RTX GPU video card. Denoiser optics here too. Okay, the samples I tested with 2000 and it looked fine with 2000. I don't think we need more. Maybe if you don't have the optics denoiser, maybe if you use CUDA cores. So let's see, if you go to system, if you have an RTX GPU, you enable here the optics. If not, you will have CUDA. You will probably need to increase the number of samples with CUDA, but you will have to test it and take it from there. Alright, so now the camera is here. Let's move it a bit down. So -1 meter should be okay. Let's go to the camera view, focal length, maybe 40. 40 looks good. I'm going for 105 degrees here. Let's round this to 0 and let's put this to 45. Maybe less. Okay, let's go 50. Let's go 50. Move it a bit on the y-axis. And I think that should be more or less fine. Now the wall depends on where you want this line to be. You just move the wall, and also it's clipping in the top part. It's clipping our wall hanger stuff things. Let's see here. Okay, so I'm going to put this a bit up. It clips just a bit. Anyway, in this view, we are not going to see it, but just in case you render it somehow else, you will be able to see it. The material, I'm going to choose, instead of this white color, I'm going to just move this a bit towards the orange side of things, maybe more. Okay, this looks fine. Obviously it's preference. I mean, it's not a really fancy render, it's just so we don't have the black void there. I'm not sure I like this going above visually here, so probably you could move it a bit more towards the left side. Okay, so after playing a bit more with it, let me put it here so it's maybe a bit easier. This is more or less the shape I have. So going to the camera view, here I'm going to use 200 here, so I get a 4K image, and if I press F12, okay, 21 minutes. If you leave, I think, let me check. So trying to close it. If you leave this in the render, this is also maybe rendering, depending on the option. At some point you see that now it's still rendering. So I'm going to put it here, and let's see now again, remaining 10 minutes. So maybe that was one cause of it. 8 minutes later, this is the end result. So image, save as, render, save as image, and after a quick edit on the phone, this is the end result. For today, I think that's about it. I hope it was useful to you in some way, and thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.